The motion of no confidence against South African President Cyril Ramaphosa, initially expected to be heard today, has been postponed. This follows a request by the African Transformation Movement, ATM, to halt proceedings pending judicial review. In a hybrid session, debate continued in Parliament for and against the second motion of no confidence against the President's cabinet to put forth by the official opposition party, the Democratic Alliance, DA. Meanwhile, Ramaphosa's cabinet has survived a second motion after a chaotic 6-hour session. Joining us now to unpack is South African editor and journalist Dianne Hawker. Thank you very much for joining us, Dianne. The first motion put forward by ATM against the president can be dated back to 2020. Why didn't it succeed this time?
Well, this motion of no confidence seems to be taking quite a long, winding road to eventually being heard in Parliament. The ATM party had recently gone to court to request that this motion be heard on a secret ballot. The court found that that application was not an urgent application, and as a result, threw that court application out of court. Now, ATM says that they will continue with the court case, but it won't be on an urgent basis. However, they are saying that until they have gotten a final ruling on whether the case can be heard on a secret ballot or not, they don't want the motion to be argued, and as a result, they ended up removing it from the parliamentary sort of calendar today.
The second motion against the country's cabinet put forth by the Democratic Alliance proceeded as planned. What notable arguments did the opposition put forward?
Well, the Democratic Alliance's main point of argument was that they were saying that the cabinet, President Ramaphosa's cabinet, had not fulfilled sort of its mandate, and that there are numerous issues that the country is grappling with, many of which it placed at the door of the different cabinet ministers. For example, it blamed the Public Works Minister, Patricia de Lille, for the fire at Parliament, and it also has blamed the Police Minister, Bekele, for high crime levels as well as the July unrest. Essentially, they're saying that cabinet is not fit for purpose, and that it should be dissolved in terms of the constitutional provisions, and that a new cabinet should be selected as a result. We saw some other political parties also supporting that, like the EFF, but then we also saw other parties like the ANC, which has the majority, going in a different direction.
The session was quite long and seemed quite chaotic, with numerous points of order and even a short scuffle at some point. What really went down in Parliament today?
Yes, indeed. It was quite a crazy session, to be quite honest, watching it. The number of times that the speaker had to call for order and, in saying honorable member repeatedly. At the beginning, there was a bit of an altercation between some EFF members and other members of other parties over a seating issue. And then there were complaints about people not wearing masks in the chamber. When it finally got to the point of voting, some members of the ANC were closed out of the chamber because they didn't come in within the 10 minutes that were allocated for people to return. And then there was a long debate over whether they should be allowed in or not allowed in. There were also issues raised about the kind of language that was being used. Some of the DA MPs called members of cabinet crooks, and that language is deemed unparliamentary, and they had to take that back. So, for those watching, I think that the session could have possibly been shorter if there wasn't so much heckling and interruption, but it ended up taking quite a long time, partly because of that.
So Ramaphosa and his cabinet have survived a confidence vote, but based on the number of seats that the ANC has, it seems like this was a predictable outcome. Why did the DA bother to bring the motion?
Yes, absolutely. I mean, the ANC benches are the majority, and unless the DA could get all the opposition as well as some members of the ANC on their side, there was no way that this motion was going to be successful. However, I think that the Democratic Alliance has found that this kind of a motion is a tool that it can use to speak to the electorate on a public platform. For example, before the motion of confidence, no confidence, they held a rally to Parliament, parts of which would have been broadcast, and the leaders of the DA, spoke about some of the issues that were raised. And then, of course, in the sitting itself, they got to raise the issue. And if you are the person bringing a motion, you get to open the debate as well as to close the debate, and have other speakers within the process. So it is a way that opposition parties can use to kind of communicate their unhappiness with government and the issues that they believe that the electorate should take issue with. And of course, these kind of comments do stay in the minds of voters when it comes to the next election, which will be in 2024, which really isn't that far away if one thinks of how quickly the political calendar tends to move.
Thank you very much, Dianne, for bringing us this update.
Thank you.